Welcome to the 7 Pillar Podcast with Nick Ahmed and Mike Ahmed. We are brothers and former pro athletes who are now on mission to help athletes and coaches grow their mindset, expand their leadership, and elevate their performance.
Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The truth is that transforming your life begins with transforming your mind. This podcast is built for athletes, coaches, competitors, and leaders who refuse to settle for average, who are ready to live with purpose, build a legacy, and defy the odds. Here, we talk about what it actually takes to live and perform on a higher plane, building your foundation on God and His truth, developing elite standards and eternal perspectives, and becoming fearless in the face of adversity. Because no one hands you a life worth living. You have to build it yourself. And it starts right now.
All right, welcome back to the 7 Pillar Podcast. Today we got episode 9. We're talking about building unshakable confidence today, guys. So in our last episode, in episode 8, we were talking all about leadership. We first busted a bunch of leadership myths that are common around leadership. We defined leadership on our own terms. So our 7 pillar definition is leadership is using your influence to serve others, unlock their potential, and unite people around a shared mission. Okay, one more time. Leadership is using your influence to serve others, unlock potential, and unite people around a shared mission. So here's the reality. Before you can consistently influence and lead other people, you have to be able to do that for yourself. So that's why today we're talking about confidence. It's about the conversations you have in your own mind, the beliefs you choose to hold, and the actions you take when things are difficult. These are the things that determine the type of leader, athlete, coach, and competitor that you become. Because confidence isn't about performing better. It's about leading yourself well, especially when things are not going your way.
Yeah, awesome, bro. Thanks for that intro. And let's dive into confidence a little bit more now. Let's define it on our terms, just like we did for leadership. So for us in 7 Pillar and what we're trying to build, right? Confidence can be defined as our trust in our ability to handle any challenge and faithfully execute what you have been trained to do. Say that one more time. Confidence can be defined as trust in your ability to handle any challenge and faithfully execute what you have been trained to do. So a lot of times, guys, like as we think about our sport and competition and what we're trying to do and our long-term goals, like there's times obviously that we lose confidence, right? It's like the question is, why do sometimes we feel confident and other times we're it fluctuates kind of in and out, and other times where like we're just not confident at all. And for us as athletes and competitors, like our goal is to feel confident and think confidently and be confident no matter what we're going through. But the reason why it fluctuates and the reason why it's not there a lot of the times is because most people base their confidence solely on past successes, right? If they've seen themselves do it before, okay, now I can be confident. But if you have a bad couple games or a bad stretch of games, that confidence is going to go down. So today we're going to talk a lot about why that doesn't work and how to build confidence in the right way that can actually show up even when you don't feel confident. So
yeah, let me just add to that real quick, because I've done that way too many times in my life, in my career as an athlete. I started to build my confidence on my performance. And when you build it on your performance, you're only as good or as confident as what you did yesterday or your last game or your last at-bat or your last whatever. So confidence, we don't want it to fluctuate up and down. We don't want it to ride the roller coaster. We want it to be steady. So we have to learn how to create a different type of confidence. We're going to teach you guys how to do that today. But ultimately, just like our identity, we have to pull the confidence out of the performance and put it in something much deeper.
Yeah, that's great. And I think just kind of wrap this up before we dive into the keys here that we're going to talk through is the most important thing is that we have to realize that confidence is not a feeling, right? Again, when it's a feeling and it's based on your performance and your past few games, right? That's when it can fluctuate. But we have to base it on something that's a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more structured, and then that way it can show up again when we don't necessarily have the results in the moment that we want. So as athletes, as coaches, as people, we have to behave confidently regardless of how we feel. Doesn't really matter in the moment. So that brings us to the 5 keys. Let's lock in here and let's talk through the 5 keys to building unshakable confidence.
Yeah. So if confidence is not a feeling, then what is it, right? So we're going to lay out 5 different things. Mm-hmm. The first of which is identity. Identity, guys. So who are you? It's about your character. It's about your intangibles. Who are you and what do you do when no one's watching? This is all about the type of person you are, the type of athlete you are, the type of coach, leader, competitor, you fill in the blank. But your identity and who you are drives your confidence at a higher and deeper level than anything else. Okay. So are you someone who's relentless? Do you not quit? Do you always find a way? Are you an elite competitor? The way I define myself a lot, two of the main parts of my identity, my unique individual identity and how I define myself. These are two very biblical things, but I define myself and my identity as an overcomer and as someone who's more than a conqueror. So that more than a conqueror one, if you guys have a faith background, might have piqued your mind a little bit. It comes from Romans 8:37, where it says, no, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Okay. So that's me. That's who I am. So in all these things, right, he's talking about troubles and difficulties and hardships, all these things the Apostle Paul is talking about. In all of those things, I am more than a conqueror. So it speaks to my identity of who I am. That gives me confidence to walk into adversity and hardship and challenges and difficulties and not let those define me. But what defined me is who I am on the inside. And Christ tells me that I'm more than a conqueror. So I allow that to shape my identity and not the circumstances around me. And then in Philippians 4:13, this is awesome. One of the most popular Bible verses out there. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's often quoted by athletes and coaches. Steph Curry's got it on his Under Armour sneakers. But the verses prior, again, it's talking about difficulty. It's talking about being well-fed or hungry, rich or poor, talking about all these contrasting things. And Paul's talking about the ability to stay content, or we can put in confident regardless of what's happening around us. So because we have God on our side, because we are believers, because we have the Holy Spirit within us, that shapes our identity. It talks about who we are, and it allows us to not only step into the good times and feel confident, but it allows us to step into the times that are difficult and still be confident in those times as well. So speaking to the athletes directly here right now, the best athletes don't let failure steal their confidence. Here's how you can do the same. So the best athletes know that failure is not a threat to their identity. It doesn't define them. And because it doesn't define them, they can embrace failure when it shows up. They can learn from it. They can grow from it. And they don't have to give their emotions and their power away to it. So building a strong identity, one that's outside of your performance, that is the easiest and most consistent way to have stable and steady confidence no matter what is happening around you.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so powerful. And this should kind of bring it to mind right now. Like what's the opposite of confidence? It's fear, right? So when we're not confident, we're fearful that we're not going to get the results, or we're not trusting our abilities to get the things done that we want done. And I think, again, when we build that identity the right way, we don't have to be fearful of those negative results of,
Exactly.
what you don't want to happen. So, the opposite side of that, again, we're not just building confidence, we're actually also eliminating the fear, right? Because now we have the identity, we have the confidence to walk into those difficult situations, to face the failure when it happens, and it's still not going to stop us regardless. So I think that's a really cool thing to add to that.
That's good.
One thing too I want to highlight here, which is really cool, this is actually called the Batman effect. So there was a study done with actually a couple of groups of children. They were asked to complete a difficult task, but they were actually prompted to pretend that they were Batman or some other superhero. And when they did that, they actually persisted a lot longer in doing the difficult task. So the question is, okay, like, obviously this is with children, but the concept still applies to adults. It still applies to athletes and competitors. And the question is, why does this work? So the reason why this works is, like, in that situation, and for ourselves as athletes, like, we're able to pull ourselves out of the moment, and we're able to adopt an identity of the best version of ourselves or potential, right? So when the kids were in the study and they adopted the identity of Batman, it's like, okay, what would Batman do in this situation? And so they weren't stuck in their own identity or their own self-limiting beliefs. They actually kind of got outside themselves, and they said, in this situation, this type of person would do X. And I think as athletes and coaches, we have to kind of remove ourselves from those situations as well, and see ourselves in an identity that's based on the best possible version of ourselves or the potential that we have, rather than who we are in the moment, or rather than on the past failures that we've had. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's good. That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that.
we've seen too, there's plenty of names that come to mind, that very similar idea. Athletes in professional sports, or we think about Kobe Bryant and the Black Mamba, right? He's got the Mamba mentality. It's the same idea. He's not just Kobe Bryant. He's living and performing like the Black Mamba. But I think, again, like this speaks to this identity that we have to adopt about ourselves. Not necessarily who I am in the moment, but who I believe myself to be, or who I believe my potential to be. There's plenty of other people. We think about the big unit in baseball, Big Papi, right? There's plenty of these examples that kind of speak to this Batman effect, where we can actually adopt the identity that's outside of our current situation, the current moment, that will help to propel us to be more confident in the current situation.
Yeah, those are good examples. And just learning from those people, right? So whether it's self-given or not, it can sound a little arrogant at times, but Kobe was ahead of his time mentally. He understood something about himself and what he needed to do and how he needed to think and the identity he needed to have to be the best version of himself on the court. So thinking about that for selves is just a challenge for all of us. Like, who are we as competitors when we step out into the field as an athlete, as a coach? What type of person are we? And it doesn't matter what's happening around us, whether we're winning, whether we're losing, whether we're in a slump, whether we're on a heater. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to just live into that identity of who we are. Okay, so moving on to number 2, the second key to developing unshakable confidence is belief. Belief, guys, we have to believe. So belief precedes confidence. It comes first. In order for us to become confident people and to live into that identity, we have to believe in ourselves. So it takes us some time to be able to believe, and it has to have some success in the past to get to that place. But we have to build it. We have to build it day after day after day. We have to build habits and routines and environments that are going to allow us to create that elite type of belief that we're not shaken by a performance. We're not shaken by a loss. We're not shaken by the things that happen outside of our control, by others' opinions of us. So continue to work that muscle. It's a muscle. It's a skill. We have to learn to believe in ourselves at a high level.
Yeah. I mean, I think pretty simply put is like, we have to believe that the thing that we're pursuing is possible. If we don't think it's possible, we're either not going to pursue it at all, or if we start to do it, we're just not going to believe in ourselves and we're going to give up after a short period of time. So we have to believe that what we're pursuing is possible. And I think the other side of that coin is like, we have to believe that our current skills, our current abilities are actually enough for us to be successful in the moment. I think a lot of times, like, we go into the game where, speaking as a baseball player, if I have a bad cage session, or if I have a bad week in the cage, or, my defense doesn't feel great lately, then okay, like maybe I'm not going to be successful because I don't really feel good. But again, like, regardless of how you feel, but you have to know that you can get the job done. And when we talk about self-belief is like, you have to believe that today's version of you is able to get the job done. Even if that version of you is a C version, right? You still have to go in that game. You still have to compete, and you still have to believe, hey, no matter what I feel today, no matter where I believe my skill level is at, I believe that in some way I can get the job done. I can help my team. And again, like, what we ask the question is like, okay, what is the other alternative? That you don't believe, right? That you don't think you can get the job done, that you're sitting in that fear of failure, right? So we have the choice to say, okay, I can either believe that wherever I'm at today is going to be good enough for competition, or I can sit in my fear and sit in the feeling that I have of maybe I'm not good enough. And again, it really comes down to that choice. It's pretty simple, but it comes down to that choice. And we actually had, early in my career, I was a field coordinator when I was with the Dodgers, who I actually kind of butted heads with a little bit. And I didn't connect with him very well, but he did say one thing that really stuck out and actually helped me to build my confidence.
Quick break from today's episode. So here's the truth. We've done the research, and only 5.1% of elite athletes and coaches are actually training their mind on a daily basis. That is exactly why we built our 7-pillar mindset training app. To join our 7-pillar community and start training your mind, leadership, and performance today, subscribe to our one-of-a-kind training app at app.7pillar.co/memberships. You'll be joining athletes, coaches, and leaders seeking to become the best versions of themselves, both on and off the field. For 10% off your first year, use code PODCAST10 at checkout. All right, now back to today's episode.
And he was like, not speaking to me directly, but there was a group of us, and he was just saying, "Hey, like, I don't care how you guys feel today. It doesn't matter, right? All I want from you today is the best version of you right now. That's all I care about, nothing else, right? I don't care who you were yesterday. I don't care who you're gonna meet tomorrow. What's important right now is who you are, and all I want is the best version of you right now to come out. So if we're sitting in that fear, if we're sitting in a state of not having any confidence, the best version of ourselves is definitely not going to come out. So again, it comes back to that choice of what we're going to believe about ourselves. We don't have to feel the best. We don't have to feel like our skills are there. We don't have to feel the best physically, but we do have to believe, regardless of that we can still get the job done. Right?
Man, that's some good advice right there. I love that. It makes me think of a story from the middle part of my career. I forget what year it was. I'm trying to think of the year, but I'll probably butcher the year. But anyways, I was in the middle of a slump, and we're on a long road trip, and I'm just going through it. It was probably one of those like 2 for 35 stretches with a bunch of strikeouts and not really contributing, not helping the team. And just like the swing felt off, body wasn't great. And I remember going to the cage every single day for early work and getting out in the field for early BP and, watching the video and tinkering with the swing and doing new drills with my hitting coaches and over and over and over again, doing everything possible to try to make the adjustment to get to a good place. And I remember getting to the field. We're playing the Mets in Citi Field, and we had Jacob deGrom that day game on a Sunday at the last game of a long road trip. And it was one of the years where deGrom was just absolutely unbelievable. He's sitting 101, 102, just elite command, doesn't walk anybody, doesn't throw anything over the middle of the plate. So I go into the cage. I'm ready to go through that whole process again of, get the camera set up, watch the video, try the drill, take the 150, 200 swings, get ready for the game. And I just sit down with a cup of coffee and I'm looking at my hitting coaches just laughing. I'm like, guys, we got deGrom today. Like, is an extra 150 or 200 swings at 9 a.m. going to really make me perform better against this guy who's maybe the best pitcher of all time, this season right now? And we all just kind of laugh. We're like, no, it's not. So what I ended up doing is I just sat there. I enjoyed my coffee. I watched the baseball highlights. I chopped it up with the guys. I went to have breakfast. I actually didn't take a single swing before the game. I think it was the first time in the history of my life that I didn't do that, maybe going back to like 7 years old or something. But I didn't take one swing before the game. And I just made the decision that I was going to trust my ability. I made the decision to believe in myself, that all the work I had put in the past was good enough today to go out and compete. And I actually took, I think, 1 or 2 swings in the on-deck circle, just dry swings to make sure I didn't blow out an oblique, in the batter's box or something like that. But didn't hit a single baseball before the game. And first at bat, we got bases loaded, 2 outs. I go up there, I have like a 9-pitch at bat, fouling off some tough pitches, just grinding, getting his pitch count up. And I hit a rocket, like one hopper right past his shoulder. Second baseman happened to be standing right there, but one hopper right at the second baseman, boom, quality at bat, hard contact. And I was like, okay, that was pretty good at bat. Second at bat, same thing, like really hard. I think this one was at the shortstop, really hard hit ball, but out. I was like, man, like, running back to the dugout after that bat, I'm like, that was 2 of my best at-bats I've had in like 2 weeks. And, I go in for the third at-bat. deGrom's out of the game. We had got his pitch count up. They bring in one of their better relievers in a leverage situation, and he throws me a slider down and away, and boom, I line it over the second baseman's head for a base hit to center. I'm like, that was literally the best swing I think I've taken all year. Yeah. And, taking it down and away slider and just lining it back through the middle. And the last at bat, they bring in Edwin Diaz, and he's throwing 1 billion miles an hour at the time, slinging it from sidearm, and he's in his prime too. And I go in and I get a base hit off him. So I'm sitting on the plane after the game. We have a 5-hour plane ride back to Arizona, and I'm literally like out loud laughing to myself. Like, I just had 4 of the best at bats I've had all season, and I didn't take one swing before the game. So what that did for me is I had a decision to make. Do I have to, in the future, build my confidence on my feeling of how my swing feels in that single moment? Or do I build it on something bigger, all the work that I've done over the course of the entirety of my career, and know that no matter what, no matter how my BP went, no matter how my body feels, no matter who's pitching, I'm confident to go out there and execute what's asked of me. So I was like, okay, this is a good experiment. Let me continue it. We get back to Arizona the next day. I'm like, let's go. Let's do it again. So I did the same thing. I went to the video room. I prepped, I was prepared for all the pitchers, what they were going to throw, situational stuff, shapes of their pitches. I went to the training room, the weight room. I got my body right. I did all the little things under my control, but I didn't take a swing before the game. I did the same thing. And I think we're facing Marlins, Pablo Lopez at the time, who turned into an all-star pitcher. And he throws me a 1-1 changeup, and I blast it out of the park to left field for a homer. And I'm running around the bases. I'm literally smiling and laughing. I'm like, do I have to hit before the game ever? Like, of course, the answer is yeah. You have to train your skills, which we'll get into after. But it just taught me a huge lesson that my confidence doesn't come from what I did yesterday. It comes from something much deeper, and I have to believe it. So, yeah, it just made me think of that story. I wanted to share it there.
Yeah, man. So good. So for all the listeners, especially younger athletes, I hope you guys hear that, right? We all want to get into the game feeling really good, like our swing is in a great spot, our shot is in a great spot. But especially when you play as long as you did, like that's not going to happen. Most of the time, you don't feel perfect. You don't feel 100%. So finding a way to have that belief about yourself, I think is hugely important, obviously. And I think a lot of it, we're going to get into this right now, but it comes from preparation, right? So the third point here is commitment and preparation. We have to be able to commit to what we're doing, and we have to prepare the right way. One of the biggest things that I'm seeing right now with my individual clients and even the younger guys that I'm working with in the baseball side is not quite, they're not quite to the point of like really committing to what they want to do. All right. And that's not just from like practice standpoint. That's from like a mindset standpoint and like really developing the type of person that they want to become. So there's a lot of people that are kind of like on the fence, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Hey, do I really want to do this? I'm not quite sure. And obviously when you're still in high school or younger, you're still kind of figuring out your path. But when we get to the college level, it's like, hey, if you want to do this, like you have to commit to it or not. And if you're kind of on the fence, like you're not sure if you're going to go in or not, your confidence is just not going to be there because you're not fully committed to it. And with that too, we talk about our mission, the vision that we have for our lives. We have to understand that is number one. And if I committed to my mission and vision, then I can be confident daily that I can live those out. So if I'm on the fence or I'm not committed to the mission that I have, right, the confidence is just not going to be there. I'm going to be kind of like just reaching for those results and hoping that I get them, but there's nothing really grounding me to that. Another thing too that I love here is like, even when you're struggling, even when things aren't going well, like you have to have the mindset, okay, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. Right? The hard work, the preparation, the reps, like you don't feel like it. You don't have the motivation. Your body doesn't feel good. Don't care. Like do it anyways. And I think that speaks to that commitment level, right? That we can do things even when it doesn't feel good, even when we don't want to. And over the long run, that's really going to build our confidence. That's going to build up that body of work for you. Like you said in that story, is like, you're not relying on how I felt in the cage today. You're relying on the years and years and the reps that you've put in to say, no, like I can do this. Like I've put the work in. So I know that, when the game time comes, it's like, okay, let's go. I know I've put the work in. I'm prepared. And going a little bit deeper too with this is like, we have to know what it takes to get to where we want to go. We talked about the leadership last time, and for you setting that example for me when we were in high school, it was like, I had the example of you really like setting the standard and setting the tone for what that preparation really looked like. For me, wanting to play Division I college baseball and then wanting to play professionally after that, I had that standard. I knew what it take. And so, for me going through my practices, like, okay, I have to do X, Y, and Z now if I want to get to that level. And it's just like, okay, is my preparation intentional? Is it planned? Is it game-like? Am I getting enough reps in? And so I think all of that is really important and ties into that confidence that we can have.
Yeah, that's good. I think about preparation in 3 ways as athletes and even as people in general.
Yeah.
We have 3 ways we prepare. First is physical. Are you in the weight room? Are you training your body? Are you getting the right type of exercise in that's going to allow you to be big, fast, strong, explosive, resilient to injury, all these things? Whether you're an athlete, a coach, a business person, a mom, whatever it is, like you need to train your body physically. It's the thing that allows you to execute what you want to do in life. So we have to take this thing seriously. We have to train our bodies physically. The stuff in the training room for athletes, we have to take care of the little things. We have to be proactive with the prehab so we don't have to get to the rehab stage. We have to take sleep seriously. That's where our training actually becomes the adaptations that we want to happen. So we have to get good quality and consistent quantity of sleep, like every single night. If you miss one night, it's not going to be a big deal. You got to come back the next night and the night after that and get that good quality sleep.
Yeah.
Our nutrition, so important, guys. We have to put the right foods in our body. We have to fuel ourselves to be able to compete out there. We have to be intentional with what we put into our bodies. We can't be grabbing what's most convenient, the fast food stuff all the time. You're going to eventually hit a wall and you're going to get injured. You're not going to have the energy you need to perform at a high level. And then just like things like hydration and supplementation, like low hanging fruit and doing those things the right way. So physical preparation and training is important. Once you do all those things and you commit to an elite plan and things that we obviously help guys with at 7 Pillar, like once you get to a good place to that physical training, you wake up and you go into your competition with way more confidence because like, hey man, like I just did all this stuff that's going to allow me to have an edge on my competition when I step out there. So thinking about the second part of preparation, it's your skill work. Are you competent in your ability, or can you go out there and if you're a baseball player, hitter, can you execute hitting a slider down and away? Can you stay inside a sinker running it on your hands? You know, if you're a pitcher, can you consistently throw the ball where you want it to? Can you mix speeds? Can you guys do the things that are asked of you, whether it's a different sport, you know, make the routine open shot? Can you throw the quick slant, you know, the basic routine fundamental type things that you need to do at a high level? And, you know, whether you're running a business too, can you execute the task that's asked of you at a very high level? So you got to practice, you got to prepare your skills and make them ready to be able to perform at a high level. And then the third piece of our preparation is just the mental, right? We're talking about this a lot. We had 5 keys to an elite mindset. We did 5 different podcasts on that already. We're going to continue to touch on the mindset, the mental resilience, being able to be committed to long-term growth, developing the right perspectives, viewing the challenges with the right opportunity mindset, and then just developing a mindset and a mentality that is mentally tough, because mentally tough people succeed in the long run.
Yeah. I hope you guys hear that. Again, we talk about our preparation, right? It's not just, you know, just random reps that you guys can get in. It is the repetition, it's intentional repetition, but it's also the things that we may not think about right away, right? Like Nick, you're just talking about. It's the weight room training, it's our nutrition, it's our sleep, it's our recovery, it's our mindset going in. It's have we trained our mind the right way? So it's holistic, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just a couple things. We have to make sure that we are preparing our mind and our body the right way. And again, over the long run, we do that. We're going to see this body of work and it's evidence to show that we are capable of meeting the demands or meeting the challenge that's placed in front of us. We talked about this off episode here, Nick, but you had a strength coach in college that kind of made an impact on me. You want to share that story?
Yeah, man. His name was Zach Penwell, and he was brought in before my freshman year to become our baseball strength coach at UConn. And I think it was very strategic. He was a college football player, and before that, he served in the Air Force. I don't know what his term was, but he was some kind of high-ranking official in the Air Force. So he came in with 2 different types of intensity. He came in with a college football intensity. He came in with a military intensity, and he worked us and beat us down in that weight room. But what he did was he took a group of guys who are under-recruited, a lot of us undersized, especially the freshman class that I came in with, and he developed a crazy level of toughness and preparation in that weight room that then turned into confidence when we stepped onto the field that spring. We were the biggest team. We were the strongest team. We were the fastest team. We were the most mentally tough team. Every single time we took the field. And that was because of the work we did in the weight room. And it was contagious. We were guys pushing each other. We were constantly competing. We were going through all kinds of different crazy lifts. You're familiar with Tabatas, Mike?
Yeah.
So Tabatas, for those of you guys who aren't familiar, it's 4 minutes long, 20 seconds on, 10-second rest over and over and over again. So we had 2 different types of Tabatas we would finish our lift with. And we didn't finish every lift this way, but it was, you know, once or twice a week, we'd finish with Tabatas, and they just absolutely crushed you. But, you know, we'd have 2 partners, 2 guys at each rack. And one day was squats. The next day was push-ups and inverted rows. And what we would do is 20 seconds on, as many deep squats as you could possibly go. You got a bar on your back. Usually it was 135 pounds. And, you know, you're banging out as many reps as possible in 20 seconds. Then you rack the bar. You got a 10-second rest. And then the timer goes off again after 10 seconds. You got to grab the bar, bang, 20 seconds of reps, as many as you can go, 10-second rest. And you got to do that whole process for 4 minutes long. And it just absolutely smoked us. But that type of preparation obviously got us bigger, stronger, and faster. But what it did is it built a mental toughness in us that was just unstoppable. We became one of the best college baseball teams in the country,
Yeah.
Hosted a regional, went to a super regional, had 11 guys drafted the year I was drafted, all with a group of guys who are undersized, under recruited, and honestly, like not that good, right? When we got to college, like we were okay.
Yeah.
And then we became elite at the end of that. And a lot of it was due to the way Zach Penwell, if you ever listen to this, man, we thank you for the way you poured into us that year.
We'll have to try to send it to him if we can.
Yeah.
It's amazing testament though of the preparation, how important that is. And it's not just your on-field skills, it's everything. So hope you guys take that to heart. Moving on here to the fourth key, we're talking about positive communication. So positive communication is going to help us build that unshakable confidence. The most important point here, guys, I want you to understand that you are in control of what you communicate to yourself. You may not always be in control of every single thought that pops into your head, but you are in control of how you process that thought and then the next thought you have after that. So a couple points here is self-talk, right? We want to make sure that we're communicating positive, beneficial things to our mind, things that are based in the belief that we talked about before, right? That overwhelming belief that we know that we can do something regardless of the circumstance. And when you're not feeling confident or you're not in that spot where the self-talk is good, maybe it's more negative self-talk than you want. A really cool strategy that works, that I've had a lot of success with some of my clients is pull yourself out of the moment, right? And I want you to start speaking to yourself in the third person, right? Speak to yourself like you would speak to one of your best friends or a teammate on the team, and watch how that self-talk, watch how that communication will change. There's going to be a big difference of how hard you are on yourself versus how hard you would be on one of your best friends or your teammates. And it's not that you shouldn't expect high standards from yourself. It's just the way that we process that self-talk and how beneficial that is for us moving forward, right? It's not going to be beneficial if you keep berating yourself and having this negative self-talk. Pull yourself out, encourage yourself, build yourself up, and then walk in that belief that you've created for yourself, right? The next piece of this here is like we want to visualize success. And what you're doing is you're communicating that result to your mind, to your brain, so that you're priming yourself to actually make it easier, make it more likely that those results are going to happen.
Yeah, our minds are so powerful, and the way we carry ourselves too can dictate a lot of what we visualize and what we see. I was working with one of my clients recently as an MLB catcher, and he was talking to me about just lacking confidence and trying to build better confidence for the second half of the season. And he mentioned a lot of like negativity and negative self-talk and slumped shoulders and just postural things. So we talked a lot, honestly, about the physicality of positive communication and how you carry yourself, your body language, your facial expressions, your presence as you are in the on-deck circle, walking up to the batter's box, in between pitches in the box, how you carry yourself, how you walk, your pace, your gait, all these little things. And it started to turn for him. We had another call the week later, and he was like, man, like I feel so much different. Like this is really, really good and helpful.
Cool.
And I mentioned to him Aaron Judge in that first call. And I said, Aaron Judge is one of the best hitters, maybe of all time, especially of our generation here. He's hurt right now, unfortunately. Hopefully he's going to come back, keep doing what he's doing at a high level. I'm sure he will. But if you ever watch him strike out, he actually strikes out a lot. And, some of the best hitters in the world strike out. And this is for you younger hitters, it's okay. Like everybody gets out, everyone strikes out. It's all part of the game. But what the best do is they don't allow that to keep them down. They don't allow that to define them. So if you guys ever watch Aaron Judge strike out, the camera will pan in on him after as he's walking back to the dugout, taking off his batting gloves. And he's got this little smirk on his face, and he's just kind of smirking. For those of you watching on YouTube, you kind of see a little smirk in me. And what I've noticed over time, just playing against him and watching him, is he's thinking something in his head. He's thinking, okay, man, this guy just got me, but you know what? I'm going to come up next time and I'm going to get him, right? He's in trouble next time. You got me once, he ain't going to get me twice. So he's got this little confident smirk on his face. And I think about it in the terms of like a chicken or the egg, right? What came first? The confident smirk and his ability to say, you know what? You got me once, I'm going to get you this next time.
Yeah.
Or did it come, the actual being really good in the batter's box and the results? I think it goes both ways, right? We have to talk about, like we just did, the preparation, the competency, the ability to execute the skill at a high level. But then you also have to learn to positively communicate and carry yourself in a way that's going to allow you to go out and use your skills the way you've trained them to use them. So it goes both ways, right? We can't have one without the other. We have to learn how to confidently carry ourselves, both in how we speak to ourselves in our minds and then the physicality of it, how it displays out on the field.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. And, just to summarize that, I think that our self-talk, our communication, our behavior, it actually reinforces that belief that we have. So if we have that negative behavior, that negative self-talk, you're actually tearing down that potential self-belief that you have. So it's really important for us to use our self-talk, whatever communication it is, self-talk, body language, etc., to actually reinforce that belief and that identity that we want for ourselves. So that's a great point. The last key here, we're moving on to build confidence, right? Unshakable confidence. So we want to surround ourselves with the right people. Okay, we want to surround ourselves with the people that are going to believe in us and build us up. So obviously, coaches, like, this is super important for you. Like, you guys have a massive influence. That can't go understated. But for athletes too, is like, we want to understand that we have to surround ourselves with those people that are going to believe in us and build us up as much as possible. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not possible. We have a coach, we have fans, we have a parent, etc., that might tear us down after a bad outing, bad game, etc. But as that happens, to the best of our ability, we want to distance ourselves from those people if we can, right? And sometimes it's not a physical distancing, but sometimes it's an emotional distancing. So if you're constantly hearing that voice from that outside source tearing you down, taking you away from that identity or that belief that you want to have, you can, again, pull yourself out, emotionally distance yourself from that. And actually, like we talked about last time, is just speak truth and speak your own identity to yourself. I think that's just a really powerful way to think about it. If you are in a situation where you can't actually, remove yourself from a certain type of person, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And thinking about the coaches, I got something good for you right here. It's going to challenge you. And I ask that you don't take it the wrong way and get offended by it, but you take it in a way where you're actually going to learn and grow from it. So coaches, if your athletes lack confidence, it may actually be your fault, or at least partially your responsibility. That's tough to hear. But how do you respond when your athletes fail? When they strike out, when they miss a free throw? What is your body language? What is your facial expression? What are you saying to them? How is your communication affecting their confidence and their ability to go out there and execute the next pitch, the next free throw, the next open shot that they have? Are you conveying frustration? Are you anger? Are you visibly upset? Or are you confident? Are you calm? Are you allowing your internal confidence in yourself and that player and your team to not phase you and not rattle you? So coaches, you have a huge responsibility in building the confidence of your athletes. And it starts in how you respond in the moments of failure, the moments of difficulty, the moments of adversity. We all have it in us. We can all do it. We can all build the confidence in the people around us.
Yeah. Huge, huge, huge. And unfortunately, especially recently, but my time working with baseball players, I've heard so many stories from my clients and their parents about them literally being berated for mistakes, errors, bad games, etc. And we're talking like 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids that are like being shouted down at for making an error. It's like, it's one thing if you're not focused, if you're not trying hard, if your effort's not there, right? That's different. But if, you're just naturally making errors in the course of game, like we all do, and you're being shouted down or berated for doing that, like, what are you communicating to your player? How is that going to affect them for the next play, for the next pitch, and for the long term? It's like, we're trying to develop players and make them not only better athletes, but better people. And when we constantly, unfortunately, when we constantly see this type of behavior out of a lot of coaches, it's like, we're not building the next generation of athletes into better people. We're making them more afraid of failure. We're making them more timid to step in the box next time. We're making them more timid to have a ground ball hit at them, or whatever it is. We're not actually speaking that belief into them. So coaches, again, you guys have such an important role to play, and not only developing your athletes' skills, but developing their belief and their identity and their confidence when it comes to competition. So.
Yeah, it makes me think about parents too, and the role and responsibility that we have as parents, and talking to myself as well, being parents of 3 young children right now that are in youth sports, and thinking about the role we have in building their confidence. So parents, one of the most important decisions that you can make doesn't actually happen at the field. It happens on the car ride home. So one of these things, I actually want to give a shout out to this guy. His name's Dave DeVito. He's a parent of one of the players on my team that I'm coaching right now, youth baseball team. He's in a Bible study with me. He's an amazing youth coach. But he gave me this, and it's something that I've actually implemented and seen some good results with. So parent or coach of a parent, before your child gets into the car, I want you guys to take off your hat. Take off the hat, place it on the dashboard of your vehicle before you turn the car on to drive it home. And what this is going to do is going to be a signal or a trigger for you to take off the competitive nature in you and lay it aside and allow your communication to be, hey, son, hey, daughter, I love the way you competed out there. Just bringing up the good things that they did, the things inside their control. Hey, I love watching you compete today. I love being your parent, seeing you do what you love, the passion you have for the game. Focus on the good things they did. Do not bring up anything negative. Do not be critical in any way. Parents, you have a huge role and responsibility in building that confidence in your son or daughter for the next game, the next day on that car ride home.
Yeah, I think, and I felt this too at times, but, athletes can be critical of themselves enough, right? Whether it's youth sports, whether it's high school, whether it's college, doesn't matter. So as athletes, we're going to be critical of ourselves. We don't need somebody else to reinforce that criticalness. If there's areas where we're like really going wrong, okay, then you can step in and serve some practical and loving guidance. But when we're talking about like actual performance on the field, let's limit those critiques, at least and to make sure that they're coming from a loving and a productive point. I think that's a really good point. Like again, as athletes, we certainly don't need more critiques, especially from parents, especially from those that are, should be there to build us up and encourage us and make us more confident for the next time up.
Yep. Parents, let's go. We got a big role to play.
Challenge right there. All right. So as we wrap up, obviously all day we're talking about confidence here. The thing that we want to reiterate is that confidence should not come from results, right? It has to come from a combination of the 5 keys that we've gone through. Number 1 is identity. Number 2 is belief. Number 3 is our preparation and commitment. Number 4 is positive communication. And the last one is the right people. Again, as we wrap up every episode, we want to be doers of the word, not just hearers of the word. All right. We don't want to just listen to God's word. We actually have to do what it says. So same thing for this, like with our podcast, with what the advice and the wisdom that we're trying to share with you guys. Not only hear it, but actually use it, put it into action, and make it practical for your lives.
Yeah, that's good. So we want to wrap up like we wrap up every episode with a challenge for you, our 7-pillar challenge of the week. Right now, we're calling it 7 wins for 7 days. Okay. The 7 wins for 7 days challenge. What we want you guys to do each night before you go to bed for the next 7 days, we want you to pull out a notebook, pull out the notes app on your phone, or even better, we have a digital journal that we have inside of our 7-pillar app that allows you guys to go in, write your answers, save them down. You'll see them, logged in. You can go back to any date you want. But find a place to write these things down. We want you to walk through your day in your mind and talk about and write down 7 wins that you've had throughout the day, things that are within your control, not necessarily a result, but the things that you are in control of, some sort of preparation, process, commitment, something you executed within your control that you're committed to, and write those 7 things down and do it for 7 days. And I want you guys to review and reflect at the end of that 7-day period and ask yourself an honest question. Did your confidence get better or did it not get better? And we can guarantee you that if you go through this process and you commit to those 7 wins in the 7 days, your confidence will grow. It will get better.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. If this episode brought you value, please share it with someone in your circle who needs to hear this message. Be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode, and don't forget to leave a rating and review. Every share, follow, and review helps us reach more people and make a greater impact. Because at the end of the day, this is about more than content. It's about growth, purpose, and stepping fully into who you were created to be.